welcome to AboutFACE Theatre presents 5 Questions With, and today's guests, actors Clare Monnelly and Aaron Monaghan. Clare is an actor and playwright, a 3 times Irish Times Theatre Award nominee, whose theatre work includes her acclaimed one-woman show, Charlie's a Clepto, as well as work at the Abbey, the Gate and Druid, among others, whilst her on-screen work includes her much-loved role as Fidelma on the TV series Moone Boy. Aaron is an actor and ensemble member of Druid, where his extensive work includes the title role of Richard III, as well as his Obie Award winning role in the Cripple of Inishmaan. Other theatre credits include work for Landmark, the Abbey, and the Royal Court, and he's also the artistic director of the theatre company Livin Dred. His recent film roles include Maze, Assassin's Creed, and Redemption of a Rogue. Clare and Aaron, you're very welcome.
Thanks for having us.
It's a joy. You're our first two in one, so it's kind of fun to actually have 4 people live. And so we'll just dive right in. And so Clare, I'll start with you. So can you is there a play or an experience that you can point to that kind of first got you into theatre?
Not a play as such, but I was kind of an activities kid. My mom had me doing a kind of after school activity every day and all of the weekend. I don't know if it was just to keep me off the streets or whatever, but I was like everything: short tennis, table tennis, gymnastics, and I wasn't a remotely sporty child, so I just being really mediocre at loads of things for ages. Until when I was, I think 7 or 8, I joined a theatre group in Churchtown called the Irish Children's Theatre Group, which was run in by a wonderful woman called Maeve Widger, and it was run in like this chalet in her back garden that she had a full-on stage and lights and everything, like a apartment. And so I just fell in love with that, and then quickly enough everything else fell by the wayside. All the other activities got sidelined, and I fell in love, much to my mom's distress. But yeah, that was it. From then on, that's all I want to be doing the whole time, really.
Yeah, brilliant. And Aaron, how about for you? Was there anything in particular, a play or an experience you can point to?
Similar to Clare, but unlike Clare, I was not an activities kid. I was get out and get a job kid every minute that we could. But the one activity I did have was there was a youth drama group in Cavan, so that became a huge passion, huge hobby, but I never thought you could make a career out of it. So I was heading off to do something else in college, and I ended up in a play called Hades by this company in Drogheda. So after my leaving cert and before college, I took a year out to do this play to tour it for 6 months. So that I'd one day be able to tell my grandchildren I was once in a professional play. And that was it. I kind of, that was the experience that kind of set me on the road of this. Yeah, it was in college, seeing other plays and seeing other theatre experiences that I hadn't before. That's kind of what, set me on the road, really.
Great. Okay, so besides table tennis being a key influence in getting you guys started, can you guys point to, just choose a great play that you love, and can you tell us why? And maybe Aaron, if you want to tell us first.
So difficult question, because there's so on the back of what I was saying, the one play I would pick that I think is a really, really great play that I just passionately love would be Whistle in the Dark. That was one of the plays I saw in college, and it kind of just blew the back of my head wide open. And I can't say why it's a great play. I mean, language in it, the story in it, and what you imagine it's about, the feelings that it kind of that it awakens in you is not what's actually on the page. You think it's a really, really violent play, but there's very little violence in it. It's the threat of violence, but it gives voice to really, really recognizable characters, particularly male Irish characters from a certain point in time. It gives voice to rage and violence and anger that kind of goes back to generations. And these are all things that aren't necessarily written in the lines on the play, but I remember seeing it. just a pivotal point in my life, and kind of going, the family is nothing like my family, but I was kind of going, that's my life on stage, even though it's completely not my life. I identified with it, and then getting to explore it again as an actor, 20 years later, was a phenomenal experience. And it's most of Murphy's plays are just incredible, but that's the one that kind of stands out for me.
Brilliant. And how about you, Claire?
Yeah, the one that came to mind was actually not a play that I've had the pleasure of seeing, but I've read it, and it made a real impression on me, even from the pages. Dennis Kelly's Orphans, and it's a three-hander, and it happens in this one room in this couple's house, and the wife's brother arrives, and they get into a discussion about an event that has happened before the play even began, and I think, much like the things I admire about Tom Murphy's writing, is that the stakes and the tension that are there from the very beginning, even on the page. And I haven't even seen a production of this play. I'd really love to, but it's so tense and the stakes feel so high right from the get-go that you can imagine being in a theater and being on the edge of your seat the entire time, waiting to get more information or to see how it's all going to play out. And that kind of energy in a room is why I love theater so much, why I miss theater so much. Actually, it's not the same, watching it in your living room, because you're in a room full of people who are all on the edge of their seats. Like when I saw Ulster American, the David Ireland play in the Abbey, and I was sitting in the front row, and it's such a tense play and it's so uncomfortable. And there was a particularly uncomfortable moment where the lady sitting beside me, who I didn't know from Adam, like slapped my thigh. It was just so outrageous and so tense, and she just had this physical reaction which I completely understood, and I was like, yeah, I get it. So I think those, and that's, we talk a lot about that when I write, and Aaron tears my writing apart. But he talks so much about that, and it's always like what why are we meeting these characters today? Why is today different to any other day? What are the stakes in the room? Why are we as an audience, why do we stay in the room and keep watching and want to know more? And I think that's what I attempt to emulate in my own writing. But when you see it on a page like that, in that Dennis Kelly play, before it's even been put on a stage, you can only imagine what the experience of either performing it or watching it would be.
Yeah, excellent. So Aaron, can you tell us about a time in your theater life where things just didn't turn out as you anticipated or expected them to? I'm sure there was only one time, right?
yeah. I had to think about this because it sounds like, I have high expectations to get into things and that they don't and I can't really think of any, or maybe I've just blocked them out. I always kind of expect that, like, when you go into the first day of rehearsal of something, you want it to improve and change and be better than the idea. And sometimes that doesn't always happen, but I suppose the one example I would kind of associate with that question would be when we were doing Waiting for Godot the first time. Because we really expected to do that play in a sort of a boutique production in a very small 2-week festival, and we thought we were like 30 years too young to play the part. We certainly, I think I can speak for all of us, we certainly didn't understand the play thoroughly in the way that we did when we ended up doing it for 3 or 4 years after that, and kind of realized like how profound it is and how much more we understood it by the end of it. But yeah, I thought we were going to be doing this kind of novel production for 2 weeks, and halfway through the run, I remember thinking that there's a dog here. Halfway through the run, I remember thinking, I'll be doing this for a long, long time, and I didn't expect that. So that's the unexpected moment for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. That's great.
Claire's back.
the unexpected dog.
Working from home. Same question for me. I think our production of my second play, Minefield, in the Fringe in 2019, because I obviously had worked on the script for a long time, and it was in a certain shape when it got to the rehearsal room, and I knew that Aaron would want to, you know, as a director, as is right, would want to make changes. And I also had an amazing creative team around the whole thing, designers and everything, and I don't really think visually. Like, even when I'm writing, I'm not a visual person. I think in character and story and voice. And so from day one of rehearsals to that first preview, I couldn't have imagined how visually arresting the show would end up being. And that sounds like I'm complimenting myself. I'm not. I'm complimenting the team around it. Like, and it really, really brought home to me that the play on the page, like the text on the page, is only one element of a production, of a really brilliant production, because everybody who worked on that show was so dedicated to their part of it, and they gave their absolute. And it happens a lot in, you know, low budget fringe work, I think, is that you're doing it like partly for the tiny wage, but mostly because you love the work, and you want to make it the best it can be. And it really did. On the page, I hope and I think that Minefield is a good play, but on stage, I hope and think that it was a great production. And it was really surprising to me, even though I wrote it, which is a really nice thing to be able to say, I suppose.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Okay, so you guys obviously both also work on screen and in other areas of acting, but what is it about theatre that keeps you coming back to theatre? What moves you? What excites you about theatre? And maybe Claire, I'll throw that at you first.
We actually had a conversation about this the other week. We were talking about the screen work that we've done, and the first screen gig that I did out of college was Moone Boy, and which was an incredible gig to get, both from because the scripts were so amazing and the people were so amazing, but even just as a learning ground for me. Like, I went to the Gate School of Acting, which I adored, but we didn't do a whole lot of prep for screen work, so I was like winging it at a high level. I made Aaron sit down with me before I started the shoot and go through the credits of a film with me to tell me what everybody's job was. Like, I couldn't understand why there were all these assistant directors, and like I didn't get it. I really didn't. I didn't have a clue. And so it was a brilliant experience, but I kept waiting for the buzz that you get, like the absolute terror that I certainly get standing backstage before you walk out for a preview of a show that you don't know works yet. Like that feeling, that heightened anxiety and excitement and all those things, or the relief of a curtain call when you realize that it does work. And I adore screen work, and I would happily do both forever, but that never really came. It's a much more it's such a different process, really. And you never really get that. It's like a consistent level of focus and tenacity and all those things that you have to keep going for a really long period of time, but you never really get that one wave of, I think some scientist somewhere has likened it to being in a car crash, like what the body goes through, like in a preview or wherever. We traumatize ourselves a lot, but yeah, that's the reason that I think we all come back to theatre, because it ain't for the money. So like, there has to be something that keeps bringing us back, right? And I do think it's that relationship between you and the audience that you don't get from a screen job. It's just a different beast. And so that live experience that we're all, like I said, missing so much now, that's the thing that makes theatre immense for me.
And how about you, Aaron? What keeps you coming back to theatre? What moves you, excites you?
God, I don't know. I think from a working point of view, like working in theatre, from that point of view, I love I love being able to like just concentrate on one world and one character for, I don't know, a couple of months on one play, unless you're doing a Druid play and you're working on 10 plays at the same time. And it feels like a really collaborative effort. And occasionally when you're on stage and you're in the middle of it, like very, very, very rarely and very occasionally, you genuinely get to have an an out-of-body experience. And I can't really describe that, but I've had it a few times, and I know other actors have described it. In terms of watching theatre, I just know I love really, really great stories, and really, really great acting. I love when those two things mix, when they meet, and I forget where I am for a couple of hours. And I never truly forget where I am, because there's always a little part of me kind of standing outside myself kind of going, isn't this brilliant? And it's not because, you know, it doesn't have to be a play that's like ultra real with realistic acting and realistic writing. Something kind of bizarre. And even if you're looking at something like Michael Murphy, the writing's so good and the acting is so phenomenal, but you're also so you're completely immersed in the story, but there's also a little part of your brain that's watching a true artist at the pinnacle of his craft. There's two things going on in my brain at the same time. One, I'm completely immersed in the story, and one, I'm just aware of really, really great artists at their best. That's what keeps me coming back to the theatre.
Nice. And just on top of that, for both of you, then why producing? Why making theatre? Why from that angle?
Not out of choice. No, I'm hanging up my producer's hat now. I'm going to let other people do that who are better qualified than me. But I think when it came to making, and I've always been really honest about this because there's no reason to be any other way. For me, it came from a place of frustration. I wasn't, you know, you come through drama school where you're doing what you love, like 50 hours a week, and you're working at that level where you can, and you're enjoying it so much and you're loving it, and you come out and it's just tumbleweed and it's getting the dole on a Wednesday, and you just fall off. I fell off a cliff. Like, I didn't know what to do with myself. I didn't know where to put all that creative energy that I had built up. And so really soon after I came out of school, and I was really lucky with the work that I was getting, but like, you know, very few actors work consistently. Even ones who you think are working consistently aren't, you know. And so when between jobs, instead of having this, it was like really a practical and a mental health thing for me as well. Instead of on a Saturday night when a show came down, just going on the absolute lash, and then Monday morning coming and being just desperately depressed. I wanted somewhere to go on Monday. I wanted to know that like I had a purpose and somewhere to put all that creative energy that was just bubbling up inside me. So I just started to write, and it really was just like to maintain some sort of sanity to begin with. But then people encouraged me, and people like Aaron and like The Fringe and like Access Ballymun just got behind me and really encouraged me to pursue that further. And then Access commissioned me to finish writing Charlie, and I spent it on our wedding, so I had to. Yeah, every penny into the wedding, and then I had to finish writing it. So, but I mean, all those things coming together I'm so grateful that I had those people beside me and behind me to encourage me to pursue it, because it's given me a whole new lease of life on my career. I don't have to, because I'm a control freak, and I hate the idea of the trajectory of my career lying in the hands of other people. I just can't be dealing with that. And as an actor, unfortunately, you don't have a whole lot of control over, you know, the way that your career pans out. People either want to give you the job or they don't. And that isn't down to necessarily your ability or your talent. It's just arbitrary a lot of the time. So I needed to like wrest some of the control back in my life, and making work is how I've done it. And it's been, I think it'll be the reason why I have longevity in my career. It'll be the reason that I managed to keep doing this forever, I think.
For me, it's kind of similar but different again. We founded Livin Dred in like 2004, and I was very, very lucky to be working consistently. But I was working as an actor, and I remember feeling a lot of the times that as an actor, you sometimes get to be very creative, and sometimes you don't get to be. You're not allowed to be creative. I remember certain shows where they kind of, you know, you want to do a certain thing, and they say, no, you're wearing this costume, and this is what you do, and can you do a funny walk? And
which he can.
We see
Many funny ones.
But I suppose, yeah, Livin Dred then became this thing for me to be able to kind of have some sort of say into your own artistic output. So you could say, we want to put this play on, and we want to put it on because this is the type of work that we want to create, and these are the type of things that we want to say. And yeah, I really had no desire or intention of becoming a director, and I just kind of became a point where I was like, I realized that you could have your say a little bit more, and take bigger risks as well. I think as an actor, it's a very risky thing when you're up on stage because you're at the mercy of other people, and sometimes when a creative team or a director doesn't do right by you or the show, you're kind of at the mercy of it, but you're on to the next show. And I suppose as a director or a producer, you're kind of putting yourself more at risk because you're responsible for people's wages and you're responsible for the entire audience's experience. And that, I suppose, as an actor, when you're working consistently, you can become a little bit, if you're lucky, you can become a little bit kind of complacent. So that something happened about 10, well, maybe 8 years ago, where I just kind of wanted to take a bit more of a risk, and I got a bit of a buzz from having some sort of more creative input and taking bigger risks. I still don't know what I'm doing, but
it's the best way. The best way. So Claire, are there any kind of tools that you've learned or that you've acquired through theater, you know, whether it's writing or acting or anything, that you found useful when not in the theater, in the kind of rest of your life?
I think I was thinking about this and I was going to say patience, but I'm no more patient now than I ever was. That would be I couldn't lie so much to you. So I think tenacity, I think more so than patience. So just having to, and I say this knowing that I'm not there yet, but I think I'm better than I was when I graduated. Just having enough sense of yourself and your ability to keep going, even when it's, you know, it's no on a regular basis. To have the, like, because I know, you know, like I know incredibly talented actors who I've known over the years who are just brimming over with ability and craft, who aren't doing it anymore because, well, they got sense probably, but they just decided that the lack of any sense of stability or whatever wasn't for them. But it is that tenacity, I think, and just believing enough in yourself that all the rejections don't have to knock you so much that you can't keep going, that you can't believe in yourself enough to go on to the next and the next. That's definitely, and I think a part of that is just out of pure stubbornness as well, which I got from my mom. I didn't build that myself. But definitely tenacity, just keeping going, just keeping her lit all the time, and always. And that's what making has given me as well, is that when you get that no or those many rejections that we all face all the time, then you can just put it aside and get to work on the next thing. Yeah, I think that's been the best thing I've learned.
I've had to think about this question in a real, like, life and death situation, and myself and my very good friend Brian Burrows went on a stag camping in the woods a good few years ago, with a load of like 6 foot, 200 pound guards and soldiers, and the camp came under attack, and the 2 classically trained actors were completely useless. I'm not sure what life skills it has given me. I had to think about this, and I think, well, you're kind of talking about it as resilience. I kind of tend to see life as a story now, like with a beginning and a middle and an end, and that there's moments of crises, and then you kind of overcome them or you don't, and sometimes it's comedy and sometimes it's drama. So I tend not to panic about the big things in life anymore. Like when there's a family issue or something happens, I always kind of have this thing of, well, it's going to have an end at some point, and it might not be a very good ending. And that's the only thing I think that theatre, I can tangibly say that theatre's helped me to kind of cope with the bigger questions in life, I think.
I think that's pretty good. I think you could sell self-help books on that, Aaron.
Yeah.
Trend in your career. Well, this has been brilliant, guys. So just as a bonus, can you tell us anything about what you're working on at the moment?
Yeah, like vaguely. What am I doing? Oh yeah, I'm about to start a new TV series. I can't really say too much about it, but that's exciting. I'll start filming that. And I'm currently editing. I've just made a short film as part of the Screen Ireland Actors Creator process. So I'm just finishing that, which is kind of very exciting. And spending the rest of the year hopefully doing some theatre online. So we're trying to figure out dates and ways and means of doing that. So yeah.
Brilliant.
I'm working on a few things. I'm co-writing a play with the wonderful Bob Kelly, and I'm developing a play, a site-specific show for St. James's Graveyard up in Thomas Street. And I have a pilot in development with Deadpan Pictures as well that I'm slowly, very slowly getting to grips with. So we're keeping busy, we're keeping her lit.
Claire on so many different projects that when I ask her every day, like, what are you working on today? I'm not allowed to because it feels like an accusation. So many projects in the boy, genuinely don't know what it is that she's working on.
It's generally, I feel that way if when he's asked me, I'm actually like watching Drag Race with my headphones in and I'm not really doing anything, and that's why it feels like an accusation. But yeah,
it's research.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. Well, thank you both so very much for joining us. This was such a delight, and a huge thank you to the audience too. It's great to have you here, and if you enjoyed the interview, please give us a like and share, because hey, theatre makes life better. So we look forward to seeing you next time on About Face Theatre presents 5 Questions With.
If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe to us on YouTube, like us on Facebook, and share. Thanks for watching.